she's a wonderful singer, but she has a very interesting story. I'm going to just say this much about it. When she was a child, she was diagnosed with autism. And, that's a very isolating experience. So when I sat down and started talking to her about the show she wanted to do, she fully formed, shared with me the most beautiful story about how she wanted to do a show of Disney music. Because as a child, it was Disney music that sort of reached into her and gave her a pathway out of herself and able to connect with other people. And she's an encyclopedia of all this music. And it's really been an incredibly inspiring and moving experience working with her. And tonight, I'm sure, is her debut in Los Angeles, right? And I'm very thrilled to share with you Katrina Aguilar.
Okay, thank you, Clifford, for saving me from falling on my face, which might have been funny to some of you. Anyways, seriously, thank you so much, Clifford, for helping me put together this show. This is a bucket list item for me, and to put together my two passions, singing and Disney. And in speaking of which, this piece, this one has been extra special to me because, as he pointed out, this was how I initially learned to come into myself. The part of your world from The Little Mermaid. This piece was not only the first song I've ever learned to sing, or even the song that made me dream of becoming a mermaid myself. But this was about yearning for the seemingly unreachable. And when you grew up in the autistic spectrum, all you really wanted was to be loved and accepted as part of your world. Look at this stuff, isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Wouldn't you think I'm the girl who has everything? Look at this trove, treasures untold. How many wonders can one cavern hold? Looking around her, you think, sure, she's got everything. I've got gadgets and gizmos aplenty. I've got who's-its and what's-its galore. You want thingamabobs? I've got 20. But who cares? No big deal. I want more. I want to be where the people are. I want to see them dancing, walking around on those, what do you call them? Oh, feet. Flipping your fins, you don't get too far. Legs are required for jumping, dancing, strolling along down the, what's that word again? Street. Up where they walk, up where they run, up where they stay all day in the sun, wandering free. Wish I could be part of that world. As isolating as living with autism can be, years I've spent in missions have opened my eyes to what you might call real outcasts. So much I've seen. Families in Honduras abandoned and neglected by their own country. Children in the inner cities, parents with their parents lost to drugs and alcohol. Prisoners at Donovan's whose own families have written them off. And then there's people like me who are ostracized for the simple crime of being different. can hear me, or if you're even there. I don't know if you would listen to a gypsy's prayer. Yes, I know I'm just an outcast. I shouldn't speak to you. Still I see your face and wonder, were you once an outcast too? God help the outcasts, hungry from birth. Show them the mercy they don't find on earth. Lost and forgotten, they look to you still. God help the outcasts, or nobody will. I ask for nothing, I can get by, but I know so many less lucky than I. Please help my people, the poor and downtrod. I thought we all were the children of God. I don't know if there's a reason why some are blessed, some not. Why the few you seem to favor, they fear us, flee us, they do not see us. God help the outcast, the tattered, the torn, seeking an answer for why they were born. Wheels of misfortune have blown them apart. You made me outcast, don't cast them out. The poor and unlucky, the weak and the odd, I thought we all were the children of
Katrina Aguilar! Katrina Aguilar! That was so beautiful, Katrina.
Katrina Aguilar.
Yay!
And I love your hat.
Thank you.
It makes me want to go to Disneyland.
Oh, me
She
too.
has an entire wardrobe of those.
Oh my God. So where did you two meet?
Oh,
Well,
okay.
go ahead, Katrina.
It was at Tim Moore's open mic at Hennessy's on Monday nights initially. Sorry, ignore this mess. But anyway, it was at Tim Moore's open mic nights at Hennessy's in La Jolla. And then I did a workshop of his along with Michael Levine. So that's how.
So
Yeah, you know, David, I started about a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago now, at the invitation of Tim Moore, who's the guy who promotes a lot of a nightclub cabaret stuff in San Diego. I started going down to San Diego and having little classes and bringing shows occasionally or whatever, and worked with a few different people. And I crossed paths with Katrina, who would come and sing at this open mic occasionally. And I always found her so interesting. And you know, there were maybe about 10 or 15 people that I was working with down in San Diego on a regular basis. And I used to always go over to say hi to Katrina and her father and hope that maybe one day we might work out being able to do something together. And my friend Michael Levine, who I think you probably know, you know,
Oh, yeah.
Michael, of course, yeah.
wonderful.
He's a big New York musical director who's one of my closest friends, also one of Steven Brinberg's closest friends. And so Michael and I Michael would come to town. He lives in New York, but he would come to LA every now and again, and then we'd go to San Diego and have a little class. So we put together a class, and then that class would perform at a really cool club in San Diego that sadly is not there anymore. They did not survive the year-long pandemic, but it was a really cool little, it was as close to a New York nightclub as you could get in San Diego.
Yeah.
And Katrina, I'm telling you, just like blossomed like a rose in the class and in that showcase.
Right.
And she just blew everybody away, and which led to she and I working on a show together, which was an idea that she had, and I helped her sort of shape it and put it together.
And the show's called Part of Your World.
Yes, go ahead, Katrina, talk a little bit about that.
Part of Your World is basically my life story collaged with Disney music, but specifically, growing up on the autistic spectrum and a lot of the sort of ups and downs that came with
it all. And so all the songs in the show are Disney.
Yes, from Disney movies.
I love that. I'm a huge Disney. I can't wait till we get out of this pandemic because there's so many shows I want to see, and yours is one of them.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
It even transcends like just a normal entertainment because as Katrina said, she had been diagnosed with autism as a child, so she lived a life a certain way, and it was the movies of Disney and the music of those movies from Disney that sort of gave her a connection to reaching out of herself, like kind of escaping her isolation and reaching out, being able to communicate, to connect more. And as we go through this show, I mean, she's an encyclopedia of Disney music and all the Disney characters and stuff. And I would say it's about 75% more of the more contemporary ones. Like I'm 112 years old, so Disney to me is like Haley Mills.
You're almost as old as I am.
I can sing you all the songs from Summer Magic and Pollyanna, but she knows all the hipster.
I grew up in the '90s too, so that's mainly my generation. Plus, like everyone else, I mean, we all grew up with Snow White and Cinderella, and and whatnot, and so. I mean, hence that's why it's part of your world because Little Mermaid was technically it's 1989, but that was like the main one. I grew up with, and I mentioned this in the show. I mean, that was the first Disney movie princess I fell in love with. That was the first. Part of Your World was the first song I ever sung at an audition when I was in my early teens.
Wow.
And I mean, so it's like, it's just about everything.
That's so interesting that you said that's the movie that really first hit you. I mean, the first movie I ever saw in a theater was Peter Pan, Disney's Peter Pan. And then I was thinking, okay, what song was that? You can fly, you can fly. I was like, and I always wanted to, maybe that's because I was a bird in a last life or something, I don't know. But it's interesting how Disney is everybody loves Disney. I mean, especially people right now, they're buying Disney stock like it's candy.
Disney Plus.
Well, yeah. So
I wanted to just mention.
I mean, I got a song in my show from there too, and it's the opening credits piece,
Oh my God! What that? And it's what song is that?
The Second Star to the Right.
Oh my God! Okay, now I really have to see your show. This is gonna be great.
Yeah, and one thing to note, I mean, I'm jumping topics if you don't mind.
That's okay. You should see me at my therapist. I go like boom, boom, boom all over the place.
Yeah, well, the thing with, the most important thing to note with, the Little Mermaid altogether was, I couldn't talk at all till I was 5. I was nonverbal. And it wasn't until, Little Mermaid, I started to talk, and that's literally all I could physically talk about.
What
So in
do
a sense,
you think it was something with that piece with the Little Mermaid that's made you more verbal?
I'm not entirely sure I can explain what it was exactly. Maybe it was the music, maybe it was the colors, maybe it was, I can't say I'm 100% sure about what it was about that one specifically.
Yeah.
That, sort of, but all the same, the Little Mermaid helped me find my voice.
Which makes for a very, very powerful show. I'm telling you, I just, it's got a lot of range. It's got a lot of comedy, a lot of different sides.
There's going to be some new pieces.
Oh,
Yeah.
when you come back. Was that the time during Little Mermaid when you realized you first wanted to sing?
No, well, I loved singing, but I didn't know I could sing till I was about 12 or 13, and it was in middle school choir.
Right. Well, I read that you traveled all over the world.
Yeah. After my high school graduation, I was part of it was technically a high school through 21 band and choir group called The Sound of America that toured Europe and went to like 6 different countries in the course of 1 month.
Yeah.
And I was amazingly blessed to have done it twice. But in one of those times I sang, I did a solo in one of them, and I was part of a trio. It was 3 little maids from the Mikado, Joe Sullivan. But anyways, that was what I did then, But anyway, so there was that, and then a few years late, several years later, my voice teacher was part of this full-on, music, workshop festival in Vipiteno / Sterzing, which is sort of, it's sort of a mountain-esque area between Italy and Austria, where locals in Italy and Germany go to vacation, but that's where we do this festival, and that's where I did opera scenes and I sang a few roles there, and one of my main ones was Giulietta from Gianni Schicchi by Puccini, and by the way, it's the scene with the famous O mio babbino caro, and which is one I'm almost certain, if you weren't into opera, you'll have heard this at an Italian restaurant or something. But that was.
I was just thinking about, I don't know if you do you know Rex Louis Clack? He is an amazing pianist and savant, and he is so into opera, and I just could see you both in the same show together. It's just, I don't know, this just triggered it, but I mean, but you go from opera to jazz to Disney, so you do it all.
You know what? I love it all practically. So yeah. And when you want something and you put your mind to it, then,
And you
I
were
think that's all it is for me.
You were a vocal performance major at
Boston Conservatory.
Boston
Boco,
Conservatory.
we lovingly call it.
Right. So when I met her,
Yeah.
what I heard her mostly doing was kind of more of a legit thing.
Yeah.
But you know, what Michael and I brought her more into is the cabaret, more conversational type singing and storytelling,
Yeah.
which I'm telling you, she has a gorgeous, gorgeous voice and such a profound story to tell. So it's just like kind of all the elements just kind of hit. The chemistry just hit perfectly.
Another, another person that really helped with that is Eileen Bowman.
Right.
There was a period of time after Boco where I was at this, I guess you could say I was at a crossroads or whatnot. I wasn't sure, and I wasn't even sure if I wanted to do music.
Yeah.
And then at that same open mic, Tim Moore's was where I met Eileen, who's an incredible vocalist, actor, and as well as a coach. And she helped bring back my love of music and performing, which then eventually brought me to, so.
Mr. Bell.
Yeah, she's a very popular performer down in San Diego. She's a very popular personality teacher down there.
I keep on saying, I gotta go here, I gotta go to San Diego. This is for both of you. What is your biggest joy in life?
Katrina, I'll let you go first.
Okay. My biggest joy in life. I would say it's always been Disney. I mean, for how it's opened, it's always opened my life, how it's always open. I mean, that's what got me into my passion of, performing and singing. That was what, helped me find myself. It helped me get, it's always been there through the best and worst of parts of my life, and that's, and the fact that is that that's, if you ask me, why did I ever start singing, again, it always stems back to that. So I would say I can safely say that, and it's brought me, some of my happiest childhood memories. It's brought back some of the best memories I have now.
Yeah.
So.
While we're on Disney, do you have a favorite ride at Disneyland?
The Haunted Mansion.
Oh, that's my number 2. I love it. It's always been in my top 2. I love that. Why the Haunted Mansion?
Because the other thing I love is my favorite thing in the world is Halloween, and everything about that. This is up my alley. I mean, it's creepy, it's cute, it's just, it's just like, it's a ride where you kind of walk and it's like, how do they do certain things in it?
Yeah.
It's just, and that's the other thing. I'm into gothic horror type stuff. And so the fact that Disney has that sort of way to combine the two, and that goes along with Nightmare Before Christmas.
Right. Oh, how cool. Yes, Mr. Bell?
All right, so what's my greatest joy? Well, my first instinct was to say eating, but I've been losing weight, so I'm gonna not say that.
Okay.
I have to stop caring about food more than anything else. But truthfully, really, the thing is, I think my greatest joy is presenting singing. And, sometimes that means maybe singing something myself, but more often than not, it means like creating an opportunity for somebody to do their thing, because I love the art form. I love the art form of the performance of singing, the storytelling, the intimacy, the connection, the musicality. I'm obsessed with it. I built my life on it. And you know, I wanted to mention that in this downtime, in the almost a year now that we haven't been able to do anything, my friend Michael Collum, who's a great pianist, we were bemoaning the fact that we weren't able to do anything. And he has a very nice house, and he said, well, let's do something in my backyard. And so we started doing these things where we push his grand piano to the side porch.
Yeah.
And we'd get filmmaker friends to come with their ring lights and and set up cameras, professional quality, broadcast quality cameras. And I got people like Raina Strober and Mary Bogue and Charlotte Crosley. And we're getting ready to film our next one next week with Julie Garnier, Alex Mohajer, and Katrina. So I'm so excited. We're going to do it this week, and then it'll be online in about 2 or 3 weeks after that. It takes a while to edit them.
Right, and you're filming this week.
We're filming this week, yeah. And
well, I loved it. I did see that first one, and it was great.
Oh, did you? Oh, good.
I did, with Rena, and because Rena
actually was she was the second one, but Rena killed it. She's so talented. I'm one of her biggest fans. She's absolutely stunningly gorgeous and hilariously funny and such a great singer. I couldn't love Rena more. I think she's amazing. But I was just thinking, when all else fails and I'm tied down to the ground and there's nothing I can do in my life, I thought Michael and I were like, we have to be able to put up a song. We just have to create an opportunity to put out songs. Well, and so we did, and it was so gratifying. And it was so fun, and everybody who's done it said, "Oh my God, that's the first time I've sung with a live piano in 6 months, or 8 months, or 9 months, and that's what Julie, even Julie, who she's managing to function with quite a professional career teaching voice, and she was in the tour of Come From Away when the COVID started and all. But she even said, getting ready to film next week, she goes, this will be the first time I've sung live with the piano in a year. Wow. So it's a special thing for people, for people who love to sing. It's a big deal. It's a special thing.
Well, and it really heals. It heals those who sing and perform. But for those watching it, you just go, there's light. Yeah. There's light at the end of the tunnel, kind of.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to do with Part of Your World.
Yeah, we're planning on putting the Katrina's full-length concert up. A friend of ours, a friend and client of mine, Lois Pergon, is a wonderful performer woman that I've worked with for many years. Yeah. She has a beautiful house in Manhattan Beach, and she has a beautiful backyard. So we had had her show, which actually was the show we were planning to do on March 15th, the night that we first got the plug pulled on us. Yeah. And so we had been aching to try to put the show up. So we filled her backyard with twinkle lights and got professional cameras and got an invited audience. And we filmed her show a few months back. And it was such a great venue that we decided we're going to do Katrina's there. Probably, we haven't set the date, but it's going to be sometime in early April probably. And Katrina has a wonderful musical director that we've collaborated on putting the show together with, named Richard Morrison. And the two of them together are, they're peers in age, and so their Disney references of what they grew up with together is so hilarious. They each know those movies inside and out, and it's always so fun to rehearse with them. But we're going to get a new concert version of Katrina's show filmed, hopefully in about a month. So hopefully that'll be online sometime.
We'll see how Richard and I are in about a month.
Yeah.
But
that's the plan. We're working on it.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
Yeah.
This is a question to both of you. There are a lot of students at Performing Arts Studio West who are actors, dancers, musicians, singers. We have over 100 now. what would you tell them? How would you say, hey, you can go out there and do this? What would you say to them about if they have a dream, how to achieve it?
I guess all you can say is, you know, you just have to put your foot in the water. You know, that's what it comes down to. You have to be brave enough to take that leap. You know, and it's I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be rough. But, you know, but if it truly is your dream, you know, you have you have to keep going, you know. You're going to get a lot of no, but you have to keep performing, keep auditioning, you know. That's kind of what it comes down to for anyone, you know.
You know, I think that it has to do with, you know, and this is true for everybody, but that much more true for people that have any sort of disability or any sort of challenge that way, is everybody has to find their own niche, and everybody has to find their own way to present themselves authentically so that they can be received on their own terms. And, you know, I think that's true for everybody. I mean, I think that's true if you're Whoopi Goldberg or Cheryl Ladd or Ali Stoker, you know, the woman who was a Broadway hit
Tony
in a wheelchair and is having quite a career. My favorite Christmas movie this year was her Happy Ever After thing, Christmas Ever After. But, you know, I just, you know, I think back to the show that you asked me to help you with, and you know, you had maybe a handful of people that were, you know, I guess, what do you say, non-disability, you know, performers. And then you had people that, you know, were in some way. And I'm telling you, that show was like showstopper after showstopper after showstopper, because the thing that everybody that you presented had in common is they knew how to come on stage and be themselves. You know, whether it was in a wheelchair or whether it was blind or whether it was, you know, whatever the challenge was, they knew how to just say, this is who I am and this is how you can receive me. And I'm telling you, it was standing ovation after standing ovation, because that's what you have to do. And, you know, that's what you have to do. You know, everybody has to do. You have to find a way to authentically communicate what's unique about you. And the same is true for anybody.